Now, how did Filipino art started? Filipino art started with the introduction of Hindu-Buddhist icons in the islands due to the trade relations of the Philippines with the Srivijaya Kingdom, which is located in Sumatra, Indonesia, and the Majapahit Kingdom, which is located in Java, Indonesia. Many of historians believe that the various cultures of the Philippine archipelago first encountered Hindu or Buddhist beliefs as early as the 2nd and 3rd century BCE. But some of the recent scholarship suggests that these cultural influences mostly filtered in during the 10th through the early 14th centuries. To give you an idea on how Filipino art forms evolved over time, I'm going to give you examples of archaeological art forms. So let's start with sculpture. Our example under sculpture is the golden tara. The golden tara is a 1.79 kilogram, 21 karat Majapahit period gold image discovered in Esperanza, Agusan in 1917. The word tara is a meditation deity in the Buddhist religion. Now, how was the golden tara discovered? After its discovery in 1917 by a Manobo woman named Bilay Campos, it was stolen while being safeguarded inside a hidden chest inside her house. Now, before being stolen, the tribe of the Manobo, where Campos belonged to, viewed the golden tara as a diwata, a nature spirit deemed to protect the vastness of their ancestral domains, rainforests, and waterways. Now, later on, the artifact would land in the possession of the Agusan governor for unknown links. The artifact would later be sold by the governor to a multinational company where the governor was indebted to with a large sum of money. And again, for unknown reasons, the artifact eventually landed for auction, prompting H. Otley Bayer, at that time the Dean of the Department of Anthropology of the University of the Philippines, to demand the Philippine government to buy the artifact for the sake of the National Museum and the Philippine nation. However, during that time, the country was in deep financial constraint and was unable to buy the artifact. The golden tara then was purchased by the Field Museum of Natural History of Chicago, Illinois in 1922 for a sum of approximately 4,000 pesos. Now remember, in 1922, 4,000 pesos is a large amount already. And unfortunately, up until this time, the golden tara is still within the possession of the Field Museum of Natural History. It's actually one of the best examples. The golden tara is one of the best examples to showcase how Filipino art was before the entrance of the colonizers. Our second example is under petroglyphs. Our example under petroglyphs is the Angono Petroglyphs. The Angono Petroglyphs is the oldest known work of art in the Philippines. There are approximately 127 human and animal figures engraved on the rock wall, probably carved during the late Neolithic or before 2000 BC. The Angono Petroglyphs was discovered by the late national artist Carlos Botong Francisco in 1965. It was actually accidentally discovered by Botong Francisco. Now, the engravings are mostly symbolic representations and are associated with healing and sympathetic magic. The site is sacred for the indigenous Tagalog folk religion, and it is believed to be a home for anitos. It is suggested that the drawings on the rock was not only created by a single individual, it was created by a group and it accumulated over time. It is widely believed that the purpose of this site is as a dambana. Now, researchers have argued that the figures were medicinal and religious in function, as they were made by our ancestors to transfer the sickness of a person onto the limestone wall. So for example, there is a person who has a sickness, the priestess would carve an image of a person perhaps or an animal on the wall, and she would transfer the sickness from the person to the carved image, thus curing the person from ailments. Our last example of archaeological art forms is under calligraphy. We have the Suyat scripts. Now, the word Suyat is actually a modern collective name of the indigenous scripts of various ethno-linguistic groups in the Philippines prior to Spanish colonization in the 16th century up to the independence era in the 21st century. Now, we are accustomed to know that the only pre-colonial writing system that we have is the so-called Alibata or Baybayin system. But there are a lot of indigenous scripts that we have been using even before the entrance of the Spaniards, and we collectively call it Suyat. So I'm going to give you 3 examples of Suyat scripts in the next slides. Our first example of Suyat script is the Baybayin, which is also the most famous one. Now, the Baybayin script is an ancient script used primarily by the Tagalog people. The term Baybay literally means to spell, write, or syllabize in Tagalog. Now, Baybayin was extensively documented by the Spaniards. Some have incorrectly attributed the name Alibata to Baybayin, but it is wrong. The word Alibata is wrong. That term was coined by a Spanish historian, Paul Rodriguez Versosa, after the arrangement of letters of the Arabic alphabet. The first 3 letters of the Arabic alphabet, alif, ba, ta. For him, it sounds similar with the first 3 letters of the Baybayin script, which is a, ba, ka. If you listen to it, it does not sound similar at all. Now, if you would look at the script on your left side, it may seem overwhelming because there are a lot of characters on the script. But these are the characters that you should remember only if you want to learn how to write using the Baybayin script. So let's start with your vowels. For your vowels, you still have 5, a, e, I, and o, u. But the difference is that for a, this is the icon that you would use, the letter. For e, I, you only have 1 letter for 2 vowels. And for o, u, you also have 1 character or letter to use. So those are your vowels and their equivalent in the Baybayin script. So let's continue with your consonants. These are your consonants. B, k, d, g, l, m, n, ng, p, s, t, w, y. So those are your consonants. Now the third aspect that you should remember are these icons. Okay, what is the meaning of putting a comma on the top of the letter, below the letter, and putting a cross below the letter? So if you want to write, for example, B, B, you should use this letter and then put a comma on the top. Okay, so again, if you want to write baby, keki, dedi, gegi, and so on and so forth, write the icon or the letter and then put a comma on top. If you want to write bobu, koku, dodu, so letters that have the vowel of o and u, you should put a comma at the bottom part of the letter. Now, if you want to use the character without the vowel, okay, just the consonant, b, k, d, g, for example, you should put a cross at the bottom part of the letter. Our second example of Suyat is the Kulitan Alphabet. The Kulitan Alphabet was used for writing Kapampangan, a language mainly spoken in central Luzon. It is written and read vertically, starting from top to bottom. Our last example of suyak is the Tagbanwa script. The Tagbanwa script was used for writing by the Tagbanwa people of Palawan. Now, Tagbanwa is traditionally written on bamboo. If the Kulitan alphabet is written and read vertically from top to bottom, the Tagbanwa script is written and read vertically but from bottom, starting from the bottom to top. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you on our next discussion. Please check our Google Classroom because the fourth activity is already uploaded. But for my TTH 2:30 to 4 schedule, the activity that is uploaded in the classroom is for Chapter 3, Western Art History.